Welcome, my kitties. You're joining me for another episode of Ancient High Tech. I wanted to redo my video of my analysis of SGD's take on Ollantaytambo because I sounded like a raving lunatic in my last attempt. And my purpose on YouTube really is not to troll these people, not to correct them, and not just to make reaction videos. My purpose is to bring something new to the table in regards to ancient lost high technology, and in this two-part series I will do exactly that, so please stay tuned to the end and I will start explaining one of the most important construction principles that is connected to all of these ancient builds. And this will be something new. This will be something that will burrow its way into your brain and you will never be able to get rid of it once you fully comprehend it. So stay tuned for the end. And in part 2, I will take a deeper dive into this principle. So let's get into this video by SGD. Ollantaytambo, how did they move these massive stones with surprising ease? Lat debunk, right, the usual stuff. So the tonnage, we got to discuss the tonnage of these stones. Here they are. SGD says they're 43 tons. Well, sorry, bud. This one right here is way bigger than 40 tons. I mean, Jimmy, the video that you hate so much.
That it's difficult to capture a full photo of it that exists at this already impressive ancient site. What you're seeing here is an approximately 80-ton granite block. So large that it's difficult to capture a full photo of it, as it's been blocked by another massive stone, and the area directly in front of it is roped off, and the guides who work at this site strictly prohibit anyone from crossing the barrier.
So even if Bright Insight exaggerated its weight, let's say we'll shave 10 tons off it and it's 70 tons, we're not talking about 43-ton blocks anymore. Because a 70-ton block came from up there and ended up right here. So let's get into the moving of these blocks, which is the most important aspect. We're just going to watch SGD talk about it.
Experts, high gurus amongst ancient lost high technology, even they admit it's completely false. They deny the proven physics of mechanical advantage, therefore anti-gravity or telekinesis. No joke, that's what they say. And they say that if a slope is more than 10 degrees, you cannot lift heavy stones. So if we're under 10 degrees, we don't have a problem. Even the high priests of this phony baloney New Age religion scam, even within the fake parameters that they've set, we're well within that, because the last part is the hardest part, and it is to move up this ramp. You see the ramp there, all the gently sloping ramp.
Let's just take a look at this gently sloping ramp for a second. First of all, this ramp is mangled. It has tons of different percents of gradient. Go from the steepest up here, a little flat part, dip, flat, dip. There is no ramp here. Again, another peak, dip, and then it just vanishes into oblivion. So I wonder why this road is like this. It looks like a Chinese bridge that you've seen on YouTube. I mean, there is nothing gentle about any of these pathways. If you were to put a highway along this mountain, it would look something like this. Right, but SGD sort of turns this roller coaster into a nice flat line, and we'll get to that in a second.
Not a single ancient lost high technologist has ever seemed to notice this. Even they ask the question, how did they drag him up the mountainside? Well, again, it's at the bottom of the mountain, and they pose that question standing on the ramp, or it's 6 feet away if they turned over their shoulder. They know it's there, they're scammers. Here's another view. Now, there's the monoliths.
Scammers!
That's where they are. Again, like all the megaliths are in this area.
Scamming me.
Literally, that's the ramp there. Okay, there it is. It leads right there. They stand there, and
a giant, gently sloping ramp. That Chinese roller coaster that we just seen is a giant, gently sloping ramp. Let's look into what is considered a gentle slope, a steep slope. So, I jumped ahead. So right here, SGD calculated, turned this roller coaster into a nice straight blue line, with an 8-degree gradient. 8-degree. Of course, he left out the steepest section of this hill, which is like another 400-foot section that runs into above 8 degrees 100%. You're getting into 10. So if you were to legally rate this hill, if you had a vehicle here, you know, and you had to put a sign right here indicating what will be the gradient to your destination point, which is this yellow arrow, you would have to say 10 degrees. What is an 8-degree slope? It is 14%. So what is the meaning of a steep slope? The steep slopes are legally defined as hillsides having a 15-foot or greater vertical rise over 100 feet of horizontal run, or 15% slope. 15% slope is a steep hill. 14% slope right here. That's a 14% slope. 8 degrees is 14%. A little higher, but we'll round it up to 14. 14% legally steep hill, 15%. But it's not 14%. It's higher. It's 18. It's 20 because, you know, SGD just omits this section, which is part of this moving job. Just to give you a more practical example of what gradient is in real life. So this is the Zopkios overpass. This is the Coquihalla Highway. I've done this highway many times. I lived in British Columbia all my life. This is one of the most dangerous highways in BC. This highway takes lives annually. There's always something on it. It's always something on the news about the Coquihalla. Somebody died. You know, somebody caused a 20-car pileup. The highway is closed. Helicopters are landing on the highway, retrieving people out of the forest, out of their mangled vehicles. When it snows on this 5-kilometer stretch, which is a maximum of 8% gradient, it's a snow apocalypse. I've done this overpass only in a truck. I'm not crazy enough to do it in a sedan, but I remember doing it in a truck with sedans cruising beside me, and I remember this scene clearly. I was cruising beside a Lexus. We're going like 30K, and I see the vehicle start to slow down, and he just buries himself into the snowbank. He's like, fuck it, mission abort, because he knows if he got to the top of this hill and his tires started spinning, he would just slide 5 kilometers back down it and cause a pileup. So that's what happens to sedans on an 8% gradient. During the summertime, if you're doing this stretch, there's always some bonehead with water jugs pouring it into his radiator because his car is overheating. 8% gradient will always pick off all the junk cars on this 5-kilometer stretch. There's always somebody overheating there. So, highly dangerous highway. Something is always happening on it. It's taking cars, it's taking lives. Helicopters are landing on it. This hill right here has a runaway lane at the bottom of it, which is like a 400-foot bank of gravel for truckers. When their brakes light on fire and cancel out, they can take this runaway lane and just bury themselves in it. And I've seen trucks in the runaway lane buried up to their doors. I've seen trucks sitting in the ditch upside down. I've seen trucks in the middle of the road. This is a badass highway. And you can feel it when you get up there. You can feel this 8% and you're like, oh, you know, I'm burning gas now. So 8%, 14%. Steep grades ahead, 8%. So how SGD believes this is a giant, gently sloping ramp, I don't know. He's delusional, maybe. But he's got a solution for this. You know, in the back of his mind, he's realizing that this isn't actually steep hill. So he has a solution for this. And the solution is this. The Inca were engineers. They engineered all of those stones up there. They dragged them up there because they were experts at engineering. And this is the diagram. Again, these diagrams, oh my God, if only I had $1 for every time I seen these diagrams, I could put a down payment on a house. So we have we have these this 50-50 men distribution, which is bogus because these guys are doing most of the work and these guys are doing fuck all. So wooden poles set deep into the slope would act as pulleys. Being in construction, having displaced tons and tons of soil by hand with a shovel, whenever I see things like, you know, dig a 30-foot hole and put a pole into it, I think to myself, what are we digging? Are we digging black soft soil? Are we digging sand? Or are we digging compacted gravel? Or in this case, we're digging bedrock. We're digging bedrock. This is all bedrock. This is bedrock right here, right underneath these shrubs. I mean, you take a shovel, a foot into this slope right here, and you're going to be hitting bedrock. There it is, sticking up out of the ground. So this whole area is, first of all, there is no ramp here. You would have to first create it. You would have to level this part out. You would have to completely level this part out by carving into bedrock, right? You're not gonna be dragging blocks on a tilted bank. So first you have to create this ramp that I don't see here. I simply don't see it. It hasn't been carved. All of this is a sloped mountainside. And once let's pretend that you didn't have to carve bedrock, but just finish this wall, right, and fit your pulleys and your stone with rollers in the middle of the pulleys in this section right here. If you built this ramp all the way down there, this ramp would have to be super hard. You would have to lay down a stone sidewalk because these 70-ton blocks would absolutely destroy anything that is soft. Having built retaining walls, you always backfill retaining walls with gravel, with sometimes you just pour them, right? We've done retaining walls where you just dump concrete into the backfill, into the retaining wall itself to make it super strong. But again, if you just throw some gravel on the inside of this path and start dragging stones up it, your walls are going to bulge, your stones are going to sink into here. So you're going to have to lay down a road. You're going to have to engineer a road several kilometers long. And then you're going to have to start digging holes in bedrock for pulleys. This is an archaeological site. I mean, it has been inspected, right? People have crawled all over it for decades now, and I bet there isn't a single hole for any pulleys here into bedrock. There would be remnants of it, and that would be a major archaeological find, and people would go bananas on all of these theories of what they're for. So, no holes in bedrock for the pulleys, no flat ramp for this project, and I think SGD just clung on to another diagram that makes no fucking sense to me personally. So I said I'm going to add something new and not just troll SGD. What is this site, right? What is this site? Why would the Inca, even if they engineered this wall, why would they drag these stones up here and just not use them? Like, you're talking about a 70-ton block right here that's sitting there, and it's just not used. The Inca got it there, just put it in storage for 1,000 years, right? This whole thing doesn't make any sense. This retaining wall is barely retaining anything. It's not retaining anything. It's not even, what, you have like a little square for agricultural development. This whole structure doesn't make any sense. So, and that's what I'm going to talk about in regards to a construction principle. I'm just sort of warming up your head to it. And this is going to be the shittiest diagram on the internet discussing one of the most important construction principles out there. So I saw this triangle in some book some time ago, God knows where, but it's very basic. So you have three aspects of your life. This is like the fulfillment or the happiness triangle, right? So you have love, health, and wealth. Love does not have to be romantic love. It can be love for your animal, love for the world, love for your garden, love just as in like just sharing with people your experience, right? There's lots of different types of love that people find in this world. So this triangle is not this Captain Obvious three aspects of your life that are super important. It's a diagram that shows that these three aspects of your life are entangled. They're codependent. And I'll explain. So if your love begins to suffer, let's say we cross it out. Again, not romantic love, but any kind of love. It is very likely that your health will be compromised. And if your health is compromised, your wealth is compromised. If you're just like a robot with no love in your heart, right? We're energetic beings, we're electromagnetic beings, emotional beings. When you have emotional blockages, it manifests into the physical reality. So with no love, you're likely to develop health problems. You know, you're going to look like a freak, and your wealth might suffer as well. So with love compromised, health and wealth are compromised. Let's compromise health. This one's really obvious, right? When you're dying of cancer, the last thing you're thinking about is trying to get laid or romantic relationships, or you're scared to lose everything that you love, right? So this is compromised. This aspect of your life is very compromised. And wealth, I mean, I don't need to go into that. You're going to stop making money when you die soon. So health compromises love and wealth. And if wealth is compromised, if you're broke, well, shit. You're not going to have any money for healthcare. You're going to be eating junk food. You're going to be living on the street. You're going to be dirty. So health is obviously compromised, and nobody likes a broke idiot. It's difficult to get along with people when you're broke, right? Because you just begin to suck energy and money out of them, and self-explanatory. So these three aspects of your life are actually codependent and interdependent. They rely on one another for all of them to thrive. So I just warmed you up for this codependent triangle, and I will translate this into a construction principle in part 2. Stay tuned. Thank you for tuning in. You'll see me again.